nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. First off, minutes from the March 4th, 2025 regular council meeting. Anybody have any corrections, or I would entertain a motion to approve these minutes as printed?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Robin, seconded by Mike to approve the March 4th minutes. Any discussion?
Just note I'll abstain.
Rick will abstain as he was not there, okay. Hearing no discussion, all in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, state no. Rick abstains, and that motion is carried. Approval of the city council agenda for tonight. Anybody have any changes?
Yeah, just, where is that? The 9G, the UDO ordinance update, I'd like to move that up to 8E, which I already talked to staff about, doing that as an actual presentation instead of doing it as a consent agenda item.
Okay, so Unified Development Ordinance update, move up to board, committee, and consultant reports under letter E. Any other changes? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve the amended agenda.
Make a motion, we approve the agenda as amended.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Mike, seconded by Becky. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, state no. Agenda is approved. Guests in open forum. Anybody here tonight to speak to council? Okay, then we'll move on to committee reports. Personnel.
Yeah, I could do it. We met March 7th, and we went over obviously some minutes that we had done previously. We kind of got more up to date on our interview process for police chief. We discussed our annual performance eval of our city administrator, which you guys got some packets and what to fill out and everything with that. And we also discussed, it's gonna be on your consent agenda, letter C, just a corporate partnership with Red Balloon. And that's about it.
All right, any questions for personnel? Robin, EDA?
EDA met on Monday, March 10th. We had a fairly long discussion about a city-owned industrial property in the business park. There will be more coming on that as that develops. We talked about the economic development coordinator position that we have open, and at this point, we're not gonna fill it. We'll just wait and see where that goes. Our monthly market update was very similar to what we had in the past, low inventory, things moving fast. And we did get an update that the first apartment building over in the Fairway Ridges is fully rented out.
Nice.
And that was it.
Great. Any questions for EDA? Public Works?
Do you want to do it? Want me to?
Sure, whatever. I can do it. Okay, so Public Works, we met last week. Actually, a lot of the stuff we talked about, you guys are gonna see today on number eight with A through D. So it's pretty much everything we talked about. So we will get those resolutions going. And that's really about it.
We did discuss the cleanup day.
The cleanup day is gonna be May 17th,
There was a suggestion to switch it to an evening, and we don't know
like during the weekday.
if
That was
that's
the
if that's a
suggestion.
good thing to do or not.
That will not be this year, though. That's for future.
Something to think about.
So what was the day you said, May?
Well, May 17th is
17th
this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Any question for Public Works? Fire Board?
Take that one. Fire Board, we met last night. Besides the usual items, we talked about the statewide volunteer firefighter plans. So this would have to do with the Fire Relief Association. For many years, Russ Cox has managed the funds for the Fire Relief Association. There is a statewide group that does that, where they do it for, I think it was 200, something like that, city, something like that. So, so there's talk of, moving to, them being the administrator of that. So, that's something that, we would likely, there might be some motions for us to look at in May, June for that. They'll also be, I think this year they said they're gonna be looking for to change the request percentage amount, so that'll be something that'll be, coming for us it'll go back to us and the town boards to look at, so that'll be coming, before the July meeting, so. We also talked about just, kind of having a little, like a policy about escorting school buses, you know, as staff gets those requests. It's a little, I don't wanna say it's easy, but it's easier for, PD, because we have somebody on staff at PD, you know, they're here already. The fire department is 100% volunteers, so, you know, in that case, you might have somebody have to take off work or something like that. And so it's a little harder for, fire department to respond to those requests they want to. They do as much as they can. But then you get the request, well, what if it's a non-school event? It's usually the school that, you know, wants to request those, you know, if a team, football team's going to state or football team wins state, they come home, that kind of thing. But do you do it on the way in? Do you do it on the way out? What if they took, you know, 9th place, you know, is that still, you know, so just kind of a, you know, just kind of getting something a little more formal to be able to, communicate to the school, and then, you know, that way there really isn't any question, about that, so. Just some more discussions about that. The fire department staff are gonna have discussions about that and kind of come back with maybe a more formal policy, and then I'll just get communicated to the school, so. Those were, other than the usual items, anything else you can think of, or?
Nope. All right, any questions for Fire Board? Park and Rec.
Park and Rec, we met last night. Primarily, we just had updates on, the Hubbard property for Park, Pleasant Valley, and, just an update on park systems. But our main discussion was the, Highway 23 trail, where we had Ross from, the county Park and Rec was in to visit with us and.
Ross DeMott?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And give us some ideas. And so the suggestion is, he's gonna go back to his board and, see if they'll pass a resolution supporting it. And then he suggested that we get a group together to go down to the county board meeting and during their open forum and support the park trail. That was about it. We didn't take any action on anything.
Okay, any question for Park and Rec? And then the building update, Mr. LaRue.
Sheet rock is mostly done. Door frames and some doors are in. Tile work continues in the showers and the bathrooms. Some walls have been primed. The ceiling grid is up in some of the spaces. And the data lines have all been pulled to the new server room. So things are moving quickly now. Hopefully early April.
Looks nice.
All right. Sounds great. Move on to board, committee, and consultant reports. Mr. Knutson, Public Works Building Edition.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. As Becky mentioned earlier at Public Works, we discussed this project. This kind of goes back to 2023 when we started the feasibility study on the Public Works facility in general to see what the possibility should exist for growth or what our needs are. So last year, you gave us the go-ahead to remove the old block county shop building, and we replaced that with a new steel structure. We're looking at the similar concept this year, but in addition to the west side, a 40 by 60 pole shed that would add on to the existing shop, add 2 additional bays, a drive-through bay, and kind of enhance and build that property out to its capacity. In preparation for the move, we've already moved one of the storage buildings to the other side towards the park and got it ready to roll. So like last project, we would act as a general contractor as a city. So we've reached out to local contractors to bid the project, primarily the shell structure, the flooring, the drain connection. the electrical and the HVAC components of this as well. I didn't want to come premature, but I am a little premature because we didn't get all of our bids back, but we're trying to secure a shell contractor so we can get, that's the most important part, to get that thing rolling so then we can throw everybody else in line after that. So tonight, we do have 3 bids that I'm hoping to award with this, but the resolution is asking for a price not to exceed, or total project cost not to exceed $200,000, which is what we have in our CIP. It's broken down, that gives us some flexibility. We are pulling some of these components out like we did on the last project, where some of the inside work, the insulation work, the inside steel, some of the grading, grade prep work will be done by our staff as time allows. We're trying to identify things that aren't time sensitive, so it's not weather dependent or whatever. We can get the shell up, get it sealed, get the floor in place, and then we can work around that so we can build this thing out in a cost-effective manner. So we got some talented folks over at Public Works. They like to get involved where we can, but we want to be smart with that as well. So we're trying to stretch the dollars as far as we can on this, and any bids that we don't have secured at this point, I would work back through Public Works Committee so they could see those bids and give us the go-ahead on that, or I can bring them back here for formal approval, should you want to do it that way. So again, I worked with legal counsel on that to make sure that we're checking all of our boxes and we're in line with what we need to do from statutory requirement, and they've given us the thumbs up on that as well to proceed as planned. So a lot of information we're throwing at you tonight, but looking to award 3 contracts tonight, or 3 agreements tonight, all with local contractors. B&B Built for the actual shell, Kurtz Concrete for the flooring and the drains, and Hubbard Electric for the electrical components of the facility as well. And I can stand for further questions.
Anybody have any questions for Phil?
I guess myself, I'd be fine if Public Works reviewed, as long as it didn't exceed the amount. I guess if it exceeded the amount, then
We discussed it in quite detail at our meeting.
Yeah, we wouldn't, I don't see, unless we see some material cost increases that aren't present right now, I don't think it's gonna push us over that number. If it did by any reason, we would look to pull anything out of operating, but again, we would review that. But I don't see that we're gonna, this even gives us a little bit of contingency. I don't think we're gonna run hard against that 200,000, so.
Great, I think it's wonderful, local contractors. I was on site with Phil yesterday, and, because I'm a little behind where everybody else is at, looks really good to me. Does anybody want to have any other questions, or would someone like to offer a motion for resolution 2524?
I'll make a motion, we approve resolution 2524. Public Works Building Edition.
All right, we have a motion by Mike, we have a second by Rick. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, state no. That resolution is carried.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you. Water Tower 1 and 2 mixer installation, Mr. Lisson.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. First item I have for you guys tonight is an RCA and Resolution 2520. So we're looking at installation of mixers in water towers number 1 and number 2. I did list in the RCA some of the reasons why this would be beneficial. The areas that I'm focusing on would be more of the eliminating the thermal stratification, or basically the separation of the different temperatures of water. So as the cooler water comes into a warm tower, the cool water likes to stay on the bottom and push the warm water up, and then the cool water likes to leave right away. So especially in the spring and the fall, when we maybe don't have quite as much turnover, we'd help keep that mixing, which would help then also to ensure that we have a more uniform water out in our distribution system. The mixers would also help in the wintertime. As the water moves, it helps prevent the formation of ice in the tower. If you have ice in your tower, that ice moving up and down can damage the interior coating of your tower. 2, if you have enough ice in your tower, you can have big blocks going up and down that can potentially freeze the tower, and you can't use the tower during the winter. You have to spend money to melt it. We haven't had those issues yet, but I do like to try to prevent the ice formation so we don't cause any damage to the inside of our water towers. We did reach out to a couple different companies for pricing. I listed those, KLM Engineering and McGuire, listed the prices in the RCA there. We did discuss the project with the Public Works Committee, and the committee approved it to come to council for consideration. The 2025 water CIP, we did budget for this mixer install. So I have those prices, what we budgeted in there. Both the proposals were less than what we had budgeted, so that was positive. With that, tonight I would look for a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2520 to approve the installation of mixers and water towers 1 and 2, accepting the KLM engineering bid for a price not to exceed $43,000. And with that, I can stand for any questions.
Thank you, Chris. Any questions? I'm sure we're all happy to get thermal stratification taken care of.
Plus, as a science guy, I kind of just like using those terms.
I know you were smiling when you said it.
Yeah, brings me back.
Is there a bet going on behind the scenes?
No,
If you-
no,
Okay,
no, just a
right.
fun word.
All right, that's great. All right, if there's no questions, I would entertain a motion on Resolution 2520.
I'll make a motion to adopt Resolution 25-20, approving the installation of mixers in Water Tower 1 and 2 by KLM Engineering, not to exceed $43,000.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Becky, a second by Mike. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, state no. That resolution is carried. It looks like
Thank you.
you're up again for,
Yep, strike one, we'll go to strike two now.
all right?
Second item I have is an RCN Resolution 2521. This is Water Tower 2 for a wash and overcoat, and then the new logos to be applied. We did reach out to several different companies for quotes on that, so we listed those in the RCA. So KLM, Central Tank, and McGuire all provided us with bids for that work. That water tower was built in 1994, just for a little history. Our routine maintenance for our water tower coatings is after the tower is built. Every 15 years, so after 15 and then 30 years, we would do a wash and an overcoat just to keep that coating in place and preserve our water tower structure. And then at the 45-year time frame, you would sandblast the entire tower and do a whole new coating system. So this tower is due for a wash. Well, we did the last wash and overcoat in 2012, so we're a little 2 years ahead of schedule. But if you drive by, we've got the old logo on there, plus the bottom is quite dirty, so we did choose to move this up a little bit just because of the sightliness of our current tower. So let's see, I did include a little picture in there, just for fun. So we did present this to Public Works Committee. The Public Works Committee approved it to come to council for consideration. The water CAP, we did have $60,000 budgeted for this project, so a little less than what was the proposals came in at. I did work with finance, so we did look at our spend from 2024 and 2025 in the CIP. And with savings on other projects that were budgeted, for that 2-year window, we would still be within our budgeted spend, even with the overage for this wash and overcoat. And then we also would still remain in the water CIP. We would maintain or improve our targeted cash goal that we outline in our utility rate study. So even though it's a little bit more than what we had budgeted, we're still in good shape for the last 2 years of our CIP. So finance gave the go-ahead that, yes, you would have the funds available to do this. So with that information, I proceeded to bring it to council tonight. And with that, I would ask for a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2521. We awarded the water tower number 2 wash and overcoat to KLM Engineering for the price not to exceed the proposed amount of $83,664. And with that, I can stand for any questions.
Any water tower questions for Chris?
You have any idea why the CIP was estimated at 60 in the most?
Well, to be honest, I mean, we had 60 in there before, and then prices during COVID went up, and I just didn't adjust as much as I should have up for the pricing. So that's more on me not doing as much advance work as I should have. I could have probably given you a different answer, but that's the honest truth, so I'm gonna just go with that.
That's one strike against you.
Boom.
Well, it's probably not the first one, so.
If there's no other questions, I make a motion to pass Resolution 2521, wash and overcoat of water tower number 2.
Second.
We have a motion by Mike, second by Robin for Resolution 2521. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, state no. That is carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. On to the lift station.
Yes, so the last item I have for your consideration tonight is lift station number 9 rehab. So if you're not sure which lift station number 9 is, it's on First Street. It's kind of out front of our used car place over there, kind of by structural steel. It's a small lift station. It does provide service for approximately 8 city lots, so, and it eventually could provide service to the 2 vacant lots that are currently for sale. So, even though it's small, it still serves its purpose and it needs to be maintained. That lift station was installed in 2002. It's a small package lift station, so it's, you know, I'm sure at the time it was what was needed for that area, but it is aging and needs a little attention. So we did reach out. We've got quotes in the packet included for pump replacement, the panel replacement, cost for installing the panel. And then as we looked at the station with some of the contractors and just generally as staff, the hatch on the wet well is starting to rust, especially the hinges. It is right next to the First Street, so it does get a lot of road spray, snow plowed on it and things in the wintertime. So just being its age and its steel, most are aluminum now, it is showing some age. So, and then the discharge piping on the pumps is PVC, which at 20 years and being inside a wet well is starting, we haven't broke anything yet, but it does start to get brittle. So staff don't necessarily want to isolate the valves inside because they're concerned they might break one. So we decided at this time, since we're doing the pumps and the panels, it'd be a good time to address that issue as well. So that pricing is included in there. I did include in the introduction, the kind of the justification area, all those prices listed, so you have that in there. The total project cost for the panel, the pumps, discharge piping, and the hatch repair would be $84,377.53. We did discuss this with Public Works Committee. They did approve it, so it could come to council for consideration. Again, this one's similar to my Tower 2. My CAP budget included replacement of the panel and replacement of the pumps. So I did have $71,000 budgeted for those 2 items. I didn't anticipate the hatch and the discharge piping in my initial plans in my CIP. So a little bit more than what we had budgeted. Again, I worked with finance. We looked at the domestic CIP for the last 2 years. And similar to the water CIP, if we look at that 2-year window with savings from other project costs, we would still be within line for our spending for that 2-year period. So we would have money available to cover that cost. And again, similar to our water CIP, we would still maintain or improve on our targeted cash position for that CIP fund. So we're still meeting our goal, even though this particular project is a little more than what I had budgeted. So with that approval and confirmation from finance, I brought it here for your consideration tonight. So with that, I am looking for a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2522 that would approve the lift station number 9 rehab project as presented in the packet. And I will stand for any questions.
Any questions on the lift station?
Could that lift station do, how many, different, you know, we say we're doing 8 or 9 properties right now. I mean, could it do a lot more? Should it ever need to be called on if?
Yeah, I mean, you're somewhat limited. Your force main is smaller. I think it's only a 4-inch, so you're gonna be limited by that, how much flow could go through there, but that still could take quite a bit of flow compared to what it has. These pumps are a little bit bigger than the old pumps. The old ones were 3 horse, these will be 6 horse. So even if you had something like a convenience store that had a car wash or something, these pumps and that discharge pipe would still be fine for that kind of addition. If you told me you wanted to add another 100 homes or something that discharge that, you might need to just replace that whole station. I mean, between the size of the wet well, size of the pumps, and the size of that force main, that all might be limiting factors. So I have confidence that it can handle two additional lots. There shouldn't be any issue that way. Yep.
How about, cause we got that Edgewood there. I mean, if both sides of that were developed, so it'd be even.
So if you had development on the other side of Edgewood, like more homes and things, you'd be going back towards
I was
the lift
thinking more of
station.
the business, the commercial down on First, or is that when you were saying 2 lots, you were saying?
Yep,
both sides?
those
Oh,
are the
okay.
2 I was talking about. Yep,
Okay.
yep. Yeah, cause that really, we kinda, even if you had, you know, the other side that kind of by the apartments that undeveloped, that would still go back the other way and go down Edgewood and all the way back that direction. So really we're not gonna ask a whole lot more of this station. Yep.
Great. Other questions on the lift station? If not, I would entertain a motion for resolution 2522.
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution 2522 approving lift station number 9 rehab for price not to exceed $84,377.53.
Second.
All right, motion by Robin, second by Rick. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed state no. That is passed.
Thank you. And I'll add too, just touch on what Phil had said. I'm sure you guys are all aware, we do have very talented and creative staff in the Public Works Department. But if you haven't seen the new old county shop building and how they finished the inside, stop by sometime. It's really nice and a vast upgrade over what we had. So staff did a very good job finishing it off, and it'll be a nice facility for quite a few years to come, so.
New old county shop, which one?
It used to always be the old county shop, so it was the block building on the end
Oh,
of.
over
It was
on.
the addition of the
Yep.
county
I
shop.
don't know, I always ask them, what do we wanna call it? I think it's technically the end of building 4, but that's not very much fun to say, so. New old county shop's got kind of a ring to it, so,
All right,
but, yeah, they did a very good job, so, thank you.
thank you. All right, 8E is the Unified Development Ordinance update. Mr. Sanders, I'm assuming, is taking that one.
Yes. Thank you, Mayor, Council. Brief update on the status of the Unified Development Ordinance so that the public kind of knows what's upcoming and our schedule moving forward. The memo that was provided to you from MSA and Mike Lamb Consulting that's in the packet kind of summarized the changes to the ordinances. So for the public, this is combining zoning and subdivision codes into one unified development ordinance. This has been going on for quite a while, and the Planning Commission has done an awesome job hanging in there with pretty long presentations and planning commissions. We've held public events on this, surveys. We'll be holding open houses on March 26th and 27th. Those open houses, in the packet originally, it showed that they'd be here at City Hall. They will actually be at Pebble Creek. So the reason for that is I think it'll be a better space to accommodate, and based on some of the questions that we're getting, that's probably a better space. And with the construction, it's a little bit hard to navigate in and out. The number of pages, so was kind of touched on, we've reduced the number of pages significantly. The memo here shows 202 to 114. That's probably gonna go up and down a little bit over the next month or so as we fine tune some things in here from the public at these meetings. But generally, it's reduced in, scope and reduced the number of zoning districts as well. Consolidated the uses into a table, so they're no longer in each section, so you have one table, you know where things are at. The 2-page spread, simplified some things, clarified subdivisions, inserted graphics that help explain things a little bit better. And those are just some of the highlights that have gone into this. And going forward, like I say, we'll hold the public meetings on 26th and 27th. Those are 11 to 1 p.m. at Pebble Creek and 5 to 7 on the Wednesday, so March 26th. And the 27th, they'll be from 11 to 6 p.m. at Pebble Creek as well. And then the goal right now is to bring it before Planning Commission on the 28th of April to consider a recommendation of adoption, and then to bring it to council in May. And with that, no action is needed on this really at this time, but wanted to provide you an update and have you an opportunity to ask any questions and make sure that the public knew about those open houses, because we do want to hear feedback.
Jacob, is there anywhere else to give feedback if you can't make it in person?
Yeah, I think we'll post, you can certainly email, we've told people that have called about it, you can do it in writing. We'll provide probably should clarify that on the website, but yes, people can certainly respond to us. You can send an email to me or Austin Peterson, who's the associate planner here, and we'd be happy to take those. Because what we'll do from these open houses is we'll summarize a lot of what we heard, and we'll take that to Planning Commission the next Monday following and let them hear what we heard and kind of what that means for the current draft. Are there tweaks we need to make? Where are they? What are they?
So the next step after this will be presentation to Planning Commission.
Yep, after the open houses it would be,
Correct.
yep.
Any questions for Jacob on the Unified Development Ordinance?
Should maybe make a clarification that, this is this is kind of a standardization or it isn't like a rewrite in the sense of we're going through and changing a whole bunch of things, so we didn't like sneak in like a fence ordinance change or something like that. You know, it isn't a change really in that respect. I mean, there are some changes when you go from 3 zoning districts to 2, you're gonna, you know, there's gonna be changes there, cause somebody that was in one of the ones that fell off is now gonna have to fall into the other, but there isn't other widespread changes there, so it's not like we'd be considering reformatting as well as, you know, we're gonna throw out 10 other things in there too, so I guess
there's-
maybe some clarification there.
Yeah, and there's a number of adjustments that have been made to some of those things, but it's not like you can't have a fence in this district where you can. Most of the time, it's either adjusting height or adjusting areas, so things like that were adjusted as part of this. Some of the development standards, like our subdivision regulations, those were adjusted to make it easier to plat and develop. So things like that, it really, and then I think the other thing too is the processes involved in this, because a lot of the definitions, they were at the start, people don't really read that stuff. That's really legal and internal, they wanna see it, but having it at the end makes a lot more sense, and that's where it will be. And then really, the other thing too is that we have all of our approval processes in one section of the code. So rather than if you're coming in for an interim use permit and you're like, oh, now I gotta go to the interim use permit section, it's all listed in one area. So yeah, there's,
Make it simpler, it's simplified and easier to follow.
that's the hope, so.
I think it will be.
And I, like I say, I think to Rick's point, it wasn't, we wiped everything out, and it was more adjusting and fixing.
Okay. Any other questions about the UDO?
Thank you for presenting separate on that.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
As Jacob said to the public, this is your chance to come and review it. They can go online right now and review the
Yep, the
proposal.
ordinances are proposed on the website, or posed on the website. There's actually all of the ordinances, the table of uses, and the zoning map, the draft zoning map. So those are all up on the website to review.
Perfect. To the public, now's your chance.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you. All right, that brings us to the consent agenda.
Mayor Colbinger, City Council members, items for approval on tonight's consent agenda include approving the revised hiring and termination report, approve the service agreement with Safe Assure Consultants to provide safety training, approve the Little Newton's corporate partnership agreement, approve the 2025 score grant agreement for the yard waste site, approve the 2025 score grant agreement for the recycling day event to be held on May 17th, adopt Resolution 25-23 approving 2024 year-end transfers. Adopt Resolution 25-25 accepting the following donations, $5,000 from the Becker Lions to the Police Department for ballistic shields. Approve change order number 6 for the Police Department City Hall project in the amount of $43,477.35. Approve partial pay request number 8 in the amount of $816,620.65 to Apex Construction Group for the Police Department City Hall project. And I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions on the consent agenda? If not, we would entertain a motion to approve that.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
I'll second.
Motion by Rick, second by Mike to approve the consent agenda. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, state no. That motion carries. On to payment of the bills.
Make a motion to pay the bills.
I'll second.
Motion by Robin, second by Becky to pay the bills. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, state no. That is carried. Anybody have any other business to bring before the council tonight? If not, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Mike, seconded by Rick to adjourn the meeting. All in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Meeting's adjourned at 5:34. Thank you, everybody. No executive session tonight. That was posted, that's canceled.